Hello everyone, it's Hunter and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, it is so nice to meet you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about all the things that I use for my YouTube channel. So I have been running my YouTube channel for 6 years now, and I feel like I have a good amount of knowledge about equipment and things like that. I also have a degree in digital media, so I did learn a lot about cameras and different equipment from that as well. So I feel like I have a good amount of knowledge to share with you guys. So I just want to show you what I have. If you are just starting your channel and you don't have any of these things, that's totally fine. I'm just showing you guys what I have after doing YouTube for 6 years. So before we get started, I would love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel down below. That helps me grow. And then also if you guys can give this video a thumbs up, it lets YouTube know that you like this video and it will push it to more people, which will also help me grow. And lastly, if you guys could give me a follow over on Instagram, I'm really trying to grow over there and I need your help to do that. So now that I have all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Now, the very first thing that I use, of course, is my camera. I have the lovely Sony a6400. I did an unboxing of this and I've done a review of it on my channel, so if you want to check those out, I'll link those down below. But I got this camera, I'd say at the end of March. I had been using a Canon G7X for a long time and my G7X was just really worn out, and I knew that I needed to upgrade if I really wanted to upgrade my content. So I upgraded my camera. This was around $1,000 for the camera and the lens, so it's not a very cheap investment, but it's also not the most expensive camera out there. I wanted to get something that was a little bit higher end than what I already had. This camera is perfect for, you can take photos with it if you want to. It takes super awesome pictures. It has super fast auto speed. The quality is just incredible. I prefer this over my Canon. I thought the Canon was great until I got this one, and then I was like, wow, I can't believe I was missing this quality all this time. So I really love this camera, so that's the first thing that I use to make videos. The next thing that I use for my YouTube channel has to do with the camera, and it is a memory card. Memory cards are super important because that is what you record your videos on. So if you don't have a memory card, then your camera is useless. So you have to have an SD card. I prefer the SanDisk ones. The Extreme Pro are my favorite. The one I'm using in my camera now is 100 megabytes per second. My favorite one is 170 megabytes per second. I think this one is my husband's. I prefer the higher megabytes per second just because it makes it so your camera doesn't like try really hard to catch up with the recording, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it very well. Like I said, this is kind of the technical thing I don't really understand, but I do know that the higher the number, the better it is because your camera can read the card faster. The next thing on this list is an extra battery charger. If you have a Sony, you know that batteries are so annoying. Sony batteries are kind of trash. That's probably my one negative thing about this camera, is that the batteries don't last very long, at least not as long as my Canon batteries did. So I do think that's a big thing. However, I do think it's important to have extra batteries and maybe an extra charger if you need one. So I recommend getting an additional battery charger if it doesn't come with one, if it's just a cable, or just getting extra batteries so you can charge them while you're using one, because nothing is worse than sitting here filming, being in your groove, and then your battery dies and then you have to wait for it to charge. I've been there, done that, where I haven't had a charged battery and it's really frustrating. So I do think having extra batteries is super important. The next thing I feel like is super important to have is a tripod. I currently am filming on a tripod. My camera is sitting on a tripod. I really like mine because it has the swivel head so that I can put the camera at literally any angle. It's nice because I can film TikToks this way too. Also, I love that it extends so I can make it higher, taller, or shorter, and I like that because it gets smaller, it is more compact, and it's easier to store. The one I have is pretty sturdy. It's the Sunpak Ultra 6000 PG. I just got it from Best Buy for about $50. I've had it for a few years, so I'm sure there are better ones on the market now, but I honestly don't think there's anything wrong with mine, and I'm not in the market to get a new one anytime soon, but I would highly recommend having a tripod. So those are most of the things that I use to physically sit down and film my videos. The SD card, the camera, the batteries, the charger, the tripods, all that fun stuff. One more thing I use whenever I'm filming, but I don't absolutely have to have, and I don't think it's super necessary. Right now I'm filming with natural light and I prefer to film with natural light, but sometimes I'm sitting at my desk in this space right here, and if I'm facing my desk, the window is in front of me, so the window is to my back. It makes it backlit and then you can't see my face. So sometimes I use a light at my desk just because it's a little bit easier for you to see my face. I don't use it all that much, but I do think it's nice to have one, whether it's a big studio box light or just a small LED light that you have sitting on your desk. I think that lights can play an important role. In this case, I just use it on occasion, but I do enjoy having it whenever I need it. And this one, the one that I have, is super affordable. It was like $30. So now getting into the editing, I use a MacBook Pro. I got mine in 2019 and I think it was the newest version at the time. I love love my MacBook. It is my child. No one will ever take it away from me unless they're giving me a new one. I love my MacBook, and I have had a MacBook since I was a freshman in college, so I feel like I've learned pretty much all there is to know about a MacBook, at least for what I need it for. And to edit, I use Final Cut Pro. I've been using Final Cut since maybe like 2016 or 17. I originally might have downloaded an illegal version of it from my school's computer. I wouldn't recommend because you can't update it or anything. So I copied the file over from my school's computer, and that was not a good idea. I couldn't update it. It got super glitchy. And then whenever I got my new laptop, I just bought it. It's a really expensive editing software. It's $300, but it's an investment. I think that it makes my videos so much better than they were in iMovie. However, I know there are so many people who edit in iMovie, and I would never be able to tell because they're so good at it. But I personally prefer Final Cut, but also it costs $300, so it should be better than the free software. But like I said, so many people use iMovie. I started out using iMovie and it was really easy to learn, but of course I wanted to upgrade, so I got Final Cut Pro. So there's that. And then for editing things, some things that aid in the editing process, I have an adapter for my laptop. If you have a newer MacBook, basically anything past like 2016, it has USB-C ports instead of USB ports, and also basically all the ports are gone, so it's literally just USB-C and headphone jack. So I have two USB ports and, like I said, the headphone jack. So I don't have anything else on there, so I have to have an adapter to put the SD card in my computer. A couple more things I feel like are important that I use, and they're like important in mine, but if I didn't have these things, they wouldn't affect my workflow too terribly much. Like if you took away my MacBook, if you took away the adapter, like I couldn't do anything. I wouldn't be able to edit my videos. But if you took these next things away, like I could still function without them. I just like them and they make my life easier. So the next thing is also a huge investment. I have an iPad Pro, and that's what I use to make my thumbnails on. Obviously I use my iPad for way more than just making my thumbnails. I prefer to make them on my iPad, but when I need to make a thumbnail real quick and I don't have my iPad near me, or it's dead, or someone else is using it, I just make it on my computer or my phone. But also on my iPad, I use the app Procreate to make my thumbnails. There's so many apps you can download that can replicate these kinds of things, so don't feel discouraged. Don't have an iPad. Those are just some things that I use. Another service that I use is Canva Pro. I pay $12.99 a month for Canva Pro, and I love it. I did not think I would use it as much. I downloaded I signed up for the free trial, and once it was over, I was like, I can't not use this anymore. They have transitions on text, which is really nice, and you can make things into PNGs, so you can remove the background in photos, which is super helpful. I'm not sure if it's a pro feature or not, just because I do have all the pro features. I'm not sure what's pro and what's not, but I really like that you can remove the background. A couple other things that I use that I feel like are nice to have. I do think it's important to have a way to plan your videos out. I personally just use a paper calendar. I like writing stuff down on paper. I tend to lose the digital copies, which doesn't make any sense at all because most people go from paper to digital to avoid losing their stuff, but I tend to not use digital things as much, even though I have an iPad and a computer and a phone and so many ways to plan. But I just find that it's easier for me to keep up with it if I have it on paper. Next, I use a notebook. I write down ideas. I write down notes for videos. So for example, in this video, I'm using a notebook, and in between each item, I keep looking down to remind myself what the next point is. So right now, here's my notebook. After the notebook, AirPods. I use AirPods. So I'll move on to that in a minute. But I write down my to-do list. I write down, so these are all the things for today's video, this video. Here's stuff for a different video. I have an ongoing list of ideas. Where is it? I have an ongoing list of ideas, things like that. And the very last thing on this list, oh no, there's two more things, sorry. So one more thing on this list is my AirPods. I just told you that that's one of them. I usually don't edit with AirPods or any headphones in at all, but this chair right here is my husband's, and so that's his desk, and sometimes he streams on his games, and I don't want him to listen to me editing, or he's too loud and I can't hear. Or if I go to a coffee shop or I'm working downstairs and the TV's on and I still want to be in the same room as my husband, whatever, I use AirPods. And the very last thing is something that most people probably don't think of, and most people probably don't have this, but I bought this item when I was working from home whenever I had a job. And when I was working from home, I was working in a remote desktop environment and it kept crashing. And it's because, like, think about it this way, when you're watching something on Netflix and it like glitches for a second, or like pauses, or like buffers or whatever, it's an interruption in your internet. But when there was an interruption in my Wi-Fi, the entire remote environment would shut down, and then I would have to open it back up, and I had to like reopen all the programs I was in, reselect every single single thing in them, and the program just took forever. The remote environment was also a lot slower, so having to restart it was just incredibly inconvenient. It would happen 4 or 5 times a day. I got this Ethernet adapter for my laptop and it has changed the game. We have a Wi-Fi extender that we have upstairs. The office, absolutely trashed with Wi-Fi. Don't have Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is great everywhere else in our house. We have fantastic internet. Upload speed is fantastic everywhere except for in this office. For some reason, it just doesn't like this corner of our house. So, which is coincidentally the one we made our office. So we got a Wi-Fi extender from our internet company and we connected an Ethernet cable to it so I can attach the Ethernet to my laptop. It makes it so much easier. My husband has to have it for his streaming as well. So it's really nice. And I just think it makes uploading so much faster, which is crazy because my upload speed is already really fast, but I can usually upload and process a video in like 1.5 to 2 minutes. And I know some people, it takes them hours to upload a video. So if you have access to Ethernet, I would highly recommend getting an Ethernet adapter for your laptop. It just makes uploading so much faster. Even if you're only using it to upload, it will make everything so much faster, so much easier. I highly recommend it, but of course it is not necessary. So there's that. Also, I can connect it to my iPad, which is really nice because it has USB-C. So that is the last thing I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you guys found this helpful. Like I said, I will link everything down below for you guys so you can check it out. That's all I have for today's video. So I'd love it if you guys would subscribe to my channel down below and if you guys could give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you guys would follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.